Hey, how's it, everybody? I am on my lunch break once again here at the office. I'm headed out to go get some food because I am hungry. And wish I had a bra here or a poiky going, but people don't get down like that here, unfortunately. So, in my comment section, which, once again, I appreciate all the subscriptions, all the comments, everything, all the questions. You can email me. I make it pretty easily available. And one of the biggest questions I've gotten is, hey, how did you get into rugby? And why are you such an ardent supporter of the Springboks? So I will drop the mask as I'm in my car, where I make my videos for the most part. So my background is, I was born in the early 1980s. Unfortunately, that would make me getting up there in years. And I actually grew up not really a big rugby guy. I actually played hockey, ice and roller hockey growing up. Those were actually my favorite sport du jour was ice hockey. Actually, a really big Colorado Avalanche fan. And having grown up in this part of the world, obviously baseball, a bit of American football, not too much, but here and there, you know how it is. I think everybody was a Dallas Cowboys fan at some point in the 90s. Not this guy. But luckily, through hockey, actually got me south of the equator the first time, and I spent some time in New Zealand and a couple of other places. Obviously, with rugby being the national pastime in these places, you partake and you enjoy and you get to watch the national sports of these Southern Hemisphere greats. And I do have a lot of ties to the Republic of South Africa, friends and family and whatnot, and it just kind of became like, oh well, I guess that's your team you have to support, mate. So that's how I ended up kind of following the great Springbok. Obviously, the sporting ban in the 80s and early bit of 90s. We didn't get a whole lot of coverage of Springbok rugby on this side of the globe. Like I said, because of the sporting ban, unfortunately. But I do remember the 95 Cup, Francois Pienaar and Joel Stransky and all those guys. And Madiba, kind of throwing his support behind the buck. And, it was that time for South Africa to kind of come out and re-show itself as like, hey, we are a new nation reborn with a new flag and a new national anthem, all that kind of thing. My love, when I started getting really into rugby, was probably a bit in the 03 Cup. The 07 Cup was the first time I really, really paid attention, followed the games, checked the score lines, looked at the rosters. Obviously, the Springbok came away victorious in that 07 Cup as well. And I remember my favorite team, obviously, being the Springboks, but my darlings of that tournament were Tonga, Finau Maka, Epitaione, Nili Latu, Heavy T. Pole. That was such an entertaining game, and I'm sure Springbok fans remember that the pole match whenever Andreas was shanking those kicks repeatedly in the first half, and Tonga was actually schooling the Boks a bit, and then obviously with what we had on the bench, everybody came on, Victor Matfield and Percy Montgomery and Brian Habana, who were the best, and obviously put Tonga back, wouldn't even say their place, but, let them know, like, okay, hey, good try, guys, but, that's not going to happen today. We're not going to be the Tier 1 nation that you beat. Obviously, 4 years later, they beat France in the pool round, which was, you always kind of hope for those smaller countries to have some success because they have so much talent. They're so rich in talent. Unfortunately, just not a lot of money or organization, which I've talked about in the past a bit. But so that was when I really kind of jumped on the Springbok bus. Obviously, the next two World Cups dominated by those All Blacks, Richie McCaw, Daniel Carter, Manonu, Sonny Bill Williams, Aaron Smith, yeah, you know, the names go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, because, yeah, they were just that damn good. And, you know, I never gave up on the Springbok. You know, you kind of hope for the better days. Obviously, Super Rugby with the Bulls, having some great success there for a bit. And with the combo of Bucky Sputa and Victor Metfield, God, what a combination that was. Those were some good times to see those two guys on the pitch together, just because Victor was so, I don't know, just very reserved, and Bucky's was just, that guy was just crazy, man. Like, he was really good, but God, man, that guy was, he was the enforcer, all right, and you definitely treaded lightly when you stepped on the pitch against those two. So yeah, that's kind of the background a bit of how I got into it. Obviously, with the success that the program has had in the last couple of years, winning another World Cup. Hurrah. I won't even lie. After that 57-0 shellacking that we took at the hands of the All Blacks in New Zealand? Is it Albany or New Albany? Anyways, we all remember that. Katsia was the coach at the time, and I'm not even going to dog that guy out. I think he was a good coach, but just not the coach that we needed. You know, obviously, they gave him the job for a reason, and he just didn't really tend to the flock as well as we would have liked. And, yeah, obviously, those were some dark times for us, and then, you know, Rassie Erasmus takes over the helm, brings back Faf de Klerk, and kind of, you know, uprights the ship, and we win it all in 2019 in a weird World Cup because of the games that got canceled in that poll round. Obviously, South Africa losing to a Kieran Reid-led All Blacks in that opening game. I remember probably the most about that, other than the score, was that haka delivered at the beginning with Kieran Reid, and I believe it was either TJ or was it Aaron Smith, and they kind of doubled it up a bit because, you know, it's the World Cup and you've got to do it big for those Japanese fans and for the people watching all around the world. Obviously, like I said, losing the pool game, and then honestly expecting us to meet that exact same team in the final, and England ends up knocking them off, which was like, really? Like, you lost to England, which, I mean, no disrespect, but obviously we saw the final result, and, you know, being able to hoist the Ellis Cup high with a lot of those younger guys that just weren't old enough yet in 07 to really be a part of that. So it was a great feeling. And then obviously a bit when COVID kind of started and everybody kind of locked down, and you kind of went back into the world and you reached out and you meet people on YouTube, guys like Mark from 2 Cents and G-Man, and they, you know, they really make you kind of go into what, you know, hey, what are you passionate about in the sport? So then you start your own channel eventually, and just to kind of let everybody know, like, hey, this is how I feel, and yeah, I live on the other side of the globe, but I do cheer for the Springbok proudly. You guys have seen the back of my vehicle in another video, and obviously you see me in my car with my fisherman hat here. I think they call these bucket hats in a lot of places here. They're just considered like fishing hats. And you know, my face mask and everything, and I plan on getting a tattoo at some point. I will get the South African flag tattooed on me, with a kind of a cool little idea of some things that I've been tossing around a bit, but I've got to wait until finances allow this to happen, because I do have a family, like everyone. I always tell people, you know, I got a missus and I got a kiddo, so their needs supersede mine. That's what happens when you're an adult. But yeah, that's pretty much how it is. It's just kind of ties to the Republic of South Africa, and just the importance of what that team really brings. Living here in the States, our athletes here are these people that we put up so far from us, and I don't feel that way about the Springbok. I feel like the Springbok are a bunch of guys who don't come from the same backgrounds, and like I said, I brought it up in previous videos with like Cheslin Colby coming from like a really, really bad neighborhood, and Sia Khaleesi not coming from much, and it's one thing to hold up somebody like LeBron James, and that guy's got millions and millions of dollars. He's just he's LeBron James. I mean, he's the best at his craft, or like a Tom Brady who's just like up on a pedestal. And then you look at a guy like Sia Khaleesi, who stays in his home country, knowing very well that man could go to Europe and make so much money playing in the Premiership or playing in France. And I've got nothing against anybody. Obviously Etzebeth and Colby and de Klerk all kind of play overseas. Andre Pollard plays overseas. But those guys, regardless of where they play, they come home and play for their national side because that's that important for them, and you have to admire that. It's a thing that I don't like about U.S. sports, is that we're not really, this is a country where, crap, man, in the time I've made this video, I've lost count of how many American flags I've driven past. If you've never been here, yeah, American flags are everywhere here. Yet we don't really support a national side here. We're kind of like Aussies in the respect that we just really care about our own sports, and that's really about it here. And, I wish it wasn't that way, but that's how it is here when you're paying your domestic players millions and millions of dollars. You don't really have the idea of international competition. I'll do a video, I'm sure, later about why I think the U.S. doesn't dominate in rugby. The simple fact of the matter is because we don't dominate internationally. We don't care. Like, people here don't care. Like, it's like soccer, football. We've got a huge player pool here. Nobody cares because we don't win World Cup, because this country doesn't win World Cups. Now, they're going to host the World Cup again, I think, in like 10 years, but, it's still kind of looked at as like a youth sport. It's something that you just kind of play when you're a kid, and you don't really do much else after that. So, yeah, that's the gist of it. Once again, thank you guys all for your subscriptions, your likes, your comments, everything. I do really, really appreciate it, that people so far away care what a guy that lives on the other side of the planet thinks of their national sport or their favorite sport. And like I said, I really do appreciate everything. You can always email me. If you email me and you have WhatsApp and you feel like talking through that, we can exchange that information. I do not mind. I know time is a little different, but I've seemed to have found a couple of people in the Republic of South Africa that have figured out, hey, what time it is here as opposed to what time it is there. And they'll message me while they're getting their families and their kids ready for bed, and just kind of talk about this and that, mostly rugby, obviously. But yeah, you guys, thanks again very much, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Cheers, guys.